The Sun Belt champion Troy Trojans are the 13th seed in the South region, and they get the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the 4th seed. Let's talk about it next on a live edition of Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sun Belt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, so this is a special live edition of Locked On Sun Belt. We'll have a full recap of the baseball for Monday. All right, so we'll put this one out for Friday with Troy getting Nebraska and getting a 13 seed. That's not bad, folks. I don't know if that's the Keith Gill effect. He's a chairman. He's going to tell you it didn't. But Joe Lunardi had them as a 14 seed. They get a 13 seed. They get Nebraska. And this has got to be one of the crazier stats in college basketball. The University of Nebraska does not have an NCAA tournament win. I mean, it's one thing not to get to the Final Four or win a national championship, but not having a tournament win, like ever? Troy doesn't have one, but they've only been 3 times. Let's see what it says. I'm not going to go through. I'm not going to read the whole thing, what their overall record is. But they do not have an NCAA tournament victory. And who doesn't love Fred Hoiberg, by the way, the mayor? Who cannot love Fred, right? So been a big fan of his from his playing days to his pro coaching days to his college coaching days. He does a good job there. A little controversy when someone put a camera in his face, but if he says that something can set off his pacemaker, then you can understand what that deal is. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've seen Nebraska play. I have not. But I can go over some of their statistics and see what we're talking about here. Let's see here. And see what kind of matchups we have in terms of points and rebounding. They scored 77 points a game, just over 77. They only give up 66. So they play a good defense. That's a lot like Troy. Let's see if we can match that up as well. Troy basketball stats. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Let's see here. Troy scores 80 points a game, just a little bit more, but gives up 73 points a game. So just a little bit more there. Let's see here. They shoot it pretty well from 3, 35%, and they hold opponents to 30%. That's a big number. Let's see what Troy does here. Troy percentage 33, rounding up to 34. They give up just over 30%. All right. The rebounding is the one that I want to see. Troy out rebounds their opponents by 3.5, 38 to 34 or so. Let's see what Nebraska is even with their opponents. Now I know one's a Sun Belt, but it's the same, it's equivalent talent in terms of Troy's playing equivalent talent to what they have. Nebraska's playing equivalent talent to what they have. So they do turn it over 10 times a game. They force 13 turnovers a ball game. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see if we can go through the individual guys. All right. They are led. They have 3 guys in double figures. Price Sandevort, 17, almost 18 points a ball game. Rank Mast, 13.5 points a ball game. And Braden Frager, who, unless this is recent, doesn't start. He comes off the bench and averages 11.5 points a ball game. You can figure he's a 3-point shooter, but they shoot it a bunch. Sandevort attempted 282 threes, Mast 145. Frager was fourth, but with 141 and Jamarcus Lawrence with 143. So they're going to shoot the three. That appears to be Nebraska's situation. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try and beat you with the three. Whereas if Theo Sang can come back, right, and Troy wants to beat you with the three as well, but they're going to try and get it inside, right? The Campbell brothers can finish inside. Dowd is going to try and finish inside. Victor Valdez is going to try and finish inside. And so it'll be an interesting matchup on how these two teams go at it. And it could come down to how they do on the boards. Let's see if we can see the roster. Sandevort, Mass, Frager, Lawrence. None of those guys average more than 6 rebounds a game. All right. So let's see. This may be a pretty good matchup compared to, they do have some big guys standing in the team picture. But these may not be the biggest of all guys. Braden Frager is 6'7", redshirt freshman, but he's coming off the bench, right? Jamarcus Lawrence is a guard, 6'3". Price Sandevort, 6'7", but again, shooting forward. They do have Leo Curtis from Iceland, 7'2", 245 pounds. Rink Mast, 6'10", 250 pounds, but he shoots a lot of threes as well. So they do have a little bit of girth in size compared to what Troy has, but this may not be the worst matchup ever for Troy compared to Kentucky. And you heard, what Scott Cross said, super athletic. Troy was in that basketball game and kind of got away from them. And there was too athletic and too big. That may not be the case with Nebraska. I'm going to see if I can go find some Nebraska basketball and watch it here. I'm off on Monday. So let's see how they play. All right. Is it just bombs away from three, which it kind of looks like it is. And to me, that gives Troy a shot. Because if that's what you're banking on, if you're hoping you hit some threes, Troy has a shot because you're hoping they go in. If you're cold, Troy's got a shot. I think, let me see that Kentucky. See if I can find that Kentucky basketball score. All right. Kentucky versus Troy box score. I want to see with 76-57. Let me see if I can find the offensive rebounds, because that seemed to be a huge problem for Troy. Troy actually got 10 offensive rebounds. Kentucky actually only 5. Let's see here. That could be because Kentucky was making everything. Let's see here. Kentucky shot 47.5% from the floor. Williams had 12 rebounds. In fact, 13 rebounds. Oa actually had a big ball game with he had the 20 points and 8 rebounds. And Kentucky was just too tough defensively. And I think we heard Scott Cross talk about being too selfish, and they got out of what they're always good at. All right. So let's continue the conversation. Let's go over some of, I can't imagine there's too many common opponents, but let's see who Nebraska lost to and look out why. All right. That's what you're going to have to do. I will do that right after I tell you about, let's see who it is. It is FanDuel and Indeed. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever you may choose. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. And Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. Since I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to IndeedData.com. Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves on Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, before we get back to the conversation, if you do have comments, you can leave them. I will see them, I think, on StreamYard. Won't see them on YouTube. I could look on Twitter if you'd put them, and or Facebook, I guess. Let me first tell you about the Everydayer Club. If you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now is the time. Again, you get ad-free shows and access to our group chat on Discord. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Should be a lot of fun. Right now, you can use code MARCH to get your first month free. Head to lockedonsunbelt.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. On a side note, is LSU baseball all that good this year? What's their deal? Like, they were winning, and then it was tied. On just a odd side note, it was 6-1 and then 6-6. They have retaken the lead to make it 11-6. All right, so they may salvage this ball game, but of course they were going to should have salvaged a couple of games in this series. All right, that's a side note. That'll be in Monday's episode. Okay, we're talking Troy and Nebraska. Let's go over what Nebraska's season was like overall. 26-6. They're in the Big Ten. All right. They've been there for a while, obviously. I grew up with them in the Big 12, probably in the Big 8, then the Big 12. They went 15-5 in a conference, all right? Let's see here. They did hammer West Georgia, handled FIU, Maryland Eastern Shore. They did play rival Oklahoma in a close ball game, 105-99. All right, then they took down New Mexico. They eked past Kansas State. Had a difficult time with Winthrop, 80-73. Had a little bit of a difficult time with South Carolina Upstate, 72-63. Hammered Creighton. Did a number on Wisconsin, 90-60. Slipped past number 13, Illinois, 83-80. Have they lost a game yet? By the way, what did they start out? That's exhibition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They started out 20-0. They lost at Michigan. They were number 5 in the country at the end of January, and Michigan was number 3, and they gave Michigan all they could handle, 75-72. So they started out 20-0. So if we go back a little bit, they are only 6-6 in their last 12. Let's see if that computes. All right. Then they followed up with a loss to Illinois, 78-69. They won at Rutgers. They lost at Purdue, 80-77. Respectable. Beat up Northwestern pretty good. Lost at Iowa, 57-52. Beat up Penn State. Beat Maryland. Beat Southern California. Got hammered by UCLA in Los Angeles, 72-52. And then got revenge on Iowa, 84-75. They did lose to Purdue, 74-58 in the first round of the tournament. Purdue got hot and ended up being your Big Ten champion. So let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they lost. They are. That's the thing. They are 6-6 in their last 12. All right. They started out in a ball of fire, 20-0. They have some really nice wins and some tough losses, right? If you lose at Purdue by 3, you were in the ball game. If you lose at Michigan by 3, you were at the ball game, right? They're doing a good job of competing with the upper echelon of the Big Ten. Still, they are 6-6 in their last 12. So they're not coming in here, on fire by any stretch of the imagination. Now, on Troy's side, right? If you're Locked On Nebraska, and we'll see if we get a crossover edition of Locked On Nebraska. If there is a Locked On Nebraska, you would think there would be. If I am them, I'm going to look the other way, right? They haven't really beaten anybody recently. If we go to Troy, let's find out basketball. And they got some breaks by playing Georgia Southern and Southern Miss. There were 2 tired teams, right? The best team that they have played in their last 6 ball games is South Alabama, and they lost. Monroe, sorry, they stunk. The Cajuns, scrappy. They did blow the Cajuns out, and they beat Monroe again. They beat Southern Miss, and they blew out Georgia Southern. All right, so that's 5 of the last 6 that they have won. They did lose to Southern Miss before that stretch run. They did lose to Texas State before that stretch run. They did beat Akron in that MAC Sunbelt Challenge. All right, so where they have won 5 of their last 6, they have only won 5 of their last 8 at the same time. If I'm looking at it from a Nebraska point of view, all right, they caught a break, right? Southern Miss, was it? Now I need to remember the brackets. Georgia Southern beat Marshall, right? And Southern Miss must have beat Coastal. Okay, that had to be it. Because Georgia Southern beat Marshall for the 3rd time. So Troy has not played the top end of the Sun Belt, even outside of South Alabama, and they lost at South Alabama. So there's that. All right. If you're looking at it from a Nebraska point of view, if we're going to criticize Nebraska a little bit for being 500 over the last 12 ball games, Troy is just a little bit better than that, 5 out of 8, but haven't beaten anybody. With all due respect, Southern Miss got hot. Georgia Southern wasn't even playing well before they got into the conference tournament. So there's that. So we'll see how that goes. The big thing is we'll see if Theo Sang can get in there and play. All right. He will provide some interior defense and obviously maybe some offensive rebounding and scoring. Although the thing about Theo, right, he's a little bit, isn't he slight by my recollection? He's just a little bit, he's tall, but he's got a little girth to him. He's 6'9", 225. That's not exactly 7'2", 250. So we'll see how that goes. All right. All right. Let's take one more timeout. We'll go over the rest of the South bracket just to see how far Troy could get if they are fortunate to upset the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who, again, it just blows my mind that a university like Nebraska has never had an NCAA tournament win. One thing not to get to the Final Four, or you haven't won a first-round game in so long that they've never won an NCAA tournament ball game. That's mind-blowing. All right, we will be right back right after I tell you about Robinhood and Wayfair. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, and you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. And Wayfair. Spring is the perfect time to refresh your space and make your home better for you. Whether it's updating a room, adding some outdoor furniture, or finally organizing that cluttered corner, it's a great chance to bring a fresh look into your home. That's where Wayfair comes in. From furniture and decor to organizational solutions and outdoor essentials, Wayfair makes it easy to find pieces that match your style and your budget. What I like about shopping on Wayfair is how simple the process is. You can filter by style, size, and price, so you can find exactly what works for your space, and that's what exactly I did, right? Let's see here. There we go. That shelves back there is from Wayfair. The desk that I'm working on, you guys know, this is from Wayfair. And I will tell you this right now. If I can put it together, you guys can put it together. Whether it's a new desk, speaking from experience, for a home office, some storage solutions, or outdoor pieces for spring, it's easy to find something that fits both your style and daily routine. Find furniture, decor, and essentials that fit your unique style and budget. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. We've had a few people tune in here. I'm still trying to figure out the whole live thing. Like, is it actually live on Twitter? I don't want feedback here because I still think you have to press it. Always seemed like I see other people doing it, and it comes up live. Like, it's already in my feed. I don't know why that is. Let's see here. Let's see if it's on Facebook where I put it as well. Let's see here. All right. The link is there. All right. But that's about it. Okay. All right. So Nebraska taking on Troy. Big Ten versus the Sun Belt. All right. Let's check out the rest of the NCAA bracket. And let's see who, let's see if it's up. It is up there. All right. NCAA is all over it. All right. So in the South, let's see where it is. I can't find it. Okay. It is Florida, the number one seed in the South. Okay. So Troy's going to have to go through them to get to the Final Four. However, here's the thing. There's McNeese and Vanderbilt. That's a 12-5 matchup. Big fan of Mark Byington. It would be interesting if Vanderbilt wins and Troy plays Vanderbilt, as Scott Cross has a ton of experience playing against Mark Byington, right? Georgia Southern and JMU, if they played, but still he's seen him coach and stuff like that. So that would be fascinating. All right. I'm not sure McNeese is going to get past Vanderbilt. Byington has done a good job. Vanderbilt found themselves playing for the SEC championship, come up short against Arkansas. Top of the bracket, Florida has to play the play-in team, and then they get Clemson, Iowa. I presume Florida will be in the Sweet 16. Troy, it's not impossible for Troy to make a run. You would think that maybe McNeese would have to pick off Vanderbilt. That may be a tough matchup for Troy. But the initial seeing is I kind of like the matchup against Nebraska. I'm going to go and check it out. Let's see what we got here in the comments. Going to be Sunbelt City again? No. How do they figure out what school is in what bracket? How is Nebraska South? Well, the South, those are not. That's a good question on how they have these games in the South. So the higher seeds are going to get closer to home. Although Nebraska is a 4 seed, right? They're playing in Oklahoma City. All right. So they want an advantage for the home teams, right? Although, on a side note, Louisville's going to Buffalo. They're taking on USF. You know who is from Buffalo? I'm pretty sure is Brian Hodgson. He's got a home game, right? Not to mention, if it doesn't come out before the tournament game, the whole Syracuse media is going to be in Buffalo getting Brian Hodgson talking about the Syracuse thing. All right. Appreciate the comment, the question, EJ. They're going to put the higher seeds closer to home. I think Houston would play in Houston in a regional, which is really not fair, but that's the way that it works. I don't know if you want to consider Oklahoma City's obviously Midwest, but that's how it is. All right. It's regions of the country compared to naming it something else. All right. But usually that's where the regional final is. Do we know where that's how they get the name? I don't know where the regionals are. Let's see here. That's usually how they get the regions. I'm not going to go through all this. Okay. So anyways, I appreciate the question, EJ. All right. So I kind of like the matchup. Is there an outside shot? They could get 2 wins. Obviously, you got to get 1 before you get 2. We're going to worry about beating Florida later on. That is a little bit of a pipe dream. All right. But it's not impossible for Troy to get to the Sweet 16. Not impossible. I don't know how likely it is, but I don't think it's impossible. Let me see. We'll watch a little Nebraska. I'm going to I think all the baseball games are done, right? I can do that quickly. We'll talk about Troy in the episode as well against Nebraska. Then we'll do the baseball. And then I'll see if I can find some. I record every college basketball game on YouTube. So whether I watch it or not, it's still on there. So, or you can see it on ESPN. Well, is that on Fox? It may not get it, but anything that's on my TV, I will find it. Like every pro football game that's on TV, I can find it. That's broadcast. I don't get the package. College football, just go to the library. It'll be there, right? College basketball, I think, is the same way. I think. So we'll see if we can go find some Nebraska. I'm going to see a game that they won and see how they lost into some other games. So let's see how they had these close losses to say Michigan, 72-75. That's obviously going to be as close as possible. 3-point shooting, they were 11 of 32. But only, how about this one? They went 1 of 13 in the second half. Halftime score, Nebraska was winning 50-48. Both teams went cold as Nebraska only scored 22 in the second half. Michigan 27. That's how they won that ball game. So that's a tale of 2 halves, as they say. All right. They went 10 of 19 in the first half and 1 of 13 in the second half from 3. That's how they lost that ball game. Let's see what we have against, say, let's see Iowa, because that seems like that was a little bit of an upset. That probably should not have happened. Although at Iowa, they lost by 5, 57-52. All right. Let's see what happened against Iowa. All right. 5 of 24 from 3. I mean, they've seen this before. They live and die by the 3. They got 22 rebounds against Iowa. Let me see what Iowa got. I got 25. Oh, no, those are a total. 24 rebounds to 37. They got out-rebounded 37-24. Again, that may be a place where Troy can get some breaks. So that's what it's going to come down to. Okay, it's not going to be. I don't think Nebraska grinds it inside. I don't think they do. Like Rink Mast, right? Told you he's the big guy. Well, he shoots it inside, but not all that well. Against Iowa, he was 4-10, but 0-3 from three. So he will step outside and shoot it. Fred's son plays. He didn't have a good game against Iowa. So it's, again, the 3-point shooting is going to be the biggest difference in this ballgame. Who makes more and who defends it well? All right. That's basically what it's going to be. Do we need to see, you want to take a game that well, let's find out Purdue. All right. That's their latest ball game. They lost to Purdue 74-58, and we already know how this is going to go. Purdue was 10 of 31, so that's just over 53% from three. Nebraska was also 10 of 31. They got out. Let's see what they got out rebounded. Purdue out rebounded them 37-29. I mean, yeah, they don't shoot a lot of free throws either. I need to figure out what the free throws are. They did not have a good ball game in that ball game, because 10 out of 31, that's the same thing as Purdue, but maybe Purdue's just, they take it inside a little bit. I mean, Purdue shot 54% in the first half. They were really good in the first half overall. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Please share and like. And again, so this is coming from a Husker fan. What does Troy do well, and what do they struggle in? All right. So there you go. They play. Appreciate the comment, Justice. Or the question, as the case may be. Troy is pretty balanced scoring-wise. All right, you got a couple of brothers that look like they are out of Hoosiers, okay? The Campbell brothers, they can shoot it and penetrate. Victor Valdez is kind of a point forward. Thomas Dowd can hit it from the outside, and then they can offensive rebound as well. And they're tough defensively, because if you look for the episode where I got Scott Cross on, he explains they play multiple defenses. They'll fall back, and it feels like they're playing a man-to-man, but they'll fall back into a zone. They'll play a matchup zone. Sometimes their man-to-man looks like a zone. So they're good defensively and balanced offensively. They can go cold. And for whatever reason, struggled in the second half of the season. Justice, they were by far, into mid-January, end of January, the best team in the Sun Belt. They kind of struggled the last month and a half, a little bit like Nebraska did, to be honest with you, right? Nebraska is 6-6 in their last 12. We found Troy was, they've won 5 of their last 6, but also you take that back to, and it's 5 of 8. So they can go cold offensively. But when they're good, because you got guys who Valdez can shoot it from outside. Dowd can shoot it from outside. The Campbell brothers can shoot it from outside, and they can all go inside. All right. And if Theo Sang comes back, that's going to give them an inside presence. All right. Appreciate the question, Justice. All right. Let me know what I got wrong or right with Nebraska, because it feels like it's all 3-point shooting. All right. That they're going to live and die by the 3, which, again, if you don't make them, you're probably not going to win a ball game. It'd be interesting if I go through all the stats. Is there a ball game? They made some against Purdue, but didn't win. Is there a game where they didn't make some and still won? I'd be interested to see that out. All right. Let me do the regular episode. We'll talk about baseball. I didn't see how Coastal won, but they did sweep App. Was it another 9th inning meltdown? Cajuns slipped by South Alabama. The run differential in that series was 2, right? Monroe with a sweep, Marshall with a sweep, Troy bounces back after losing to ODU. So we'll do that. We'll post that in the morning as well. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the comments and the questions. Please tune in, and we'll see if we can get a crossover with Locked On Nebraska, Locked On Huskers moving forward sometime this week. All right. Thank you so much. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Rest of the evening, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.